Welcome, friends, to this Establish a Professional Domain Website and Email for Your Business webinar with Chenny Sudana. It's being recorded. The PowerPoint presentation and link to the recording is going to be emailed to you. And if you have any questions, please type it in the chat. Would you also do us a favor and type what industry you're in? What is the nature of your business in the chat? Our questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. Let's move on to the next slide. We want to take a poll, and the poll is, do you have a professional email address? And by that we mean one that is tied to your own domain name. Do you have a professional email address? Do you have a plan to purchase your own domain name or to have someone help you? So that's either going to be yourself or someone else. And have you registered your custom domain name? Yes or no? And we'll give you a moment to answer those questions. That'll just give us a little background. Okay, here are the answers. 23% of you have a yes on email address. 69% of you have a plan to purchase your own domain name yourself, and 31% of you would like to use someone else to do that. And it's almost half and half on have you registered your custom domain. 46% of you have, and the rest of you are in that are here to learn how to do that. So that's great. Let's go to the next slide so I can introduce our very special speaker for the day, Chenny Sudana. Chenchula Sudana has been working in this arena for 15 years, and having started at Google, she has her own company now. She's been a SCORE volunteer for a long time and was a SCORE volunteer before she started her business. And it is a pleasure to welcome her again. She always brings us such wonderful insight and information. Chenny, here it's all yours.
Thank you, Tom, for the kind introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm really excited about today's topic because I feel like it's the first question that people ask me as being a consultant. They're like, where do I start? And you always start with a website, you get a professional email. It's surprising to me the number of people that use a Gmail account to run their business. And that's a bad idea for a number of reasons. If it's a lot easier to get tech support if something goes wrong. And it makes people trust you more when you have a professional email. But we'll go into detail about that. So as Tom said, I've been working, I can't believe it's been 50 years. I feel really old right now. I started my career in 2007. I started by reviewing Google ads and fixing them for grammar and typos. And then after that, I got promoted to several different roles, and I learned a lot about digital advertising. And it was really eye-opening to me how valuable it is to be online as a business, because people are looking for what you do, and they want your product. And a lot of people don't think people are going online to search. So there are a lot of businesses that could grow just by doing simple things online. And so I'm really passionate about teaching online advertising and online marketing to small business owners. So please let me know if you have any questions. I am here to help you. SCORE obviously provides free and valuable advice to people that are starting out and are already in business. So this workshop, I've noticed that several of you have a domain name already. Just letting you know in advance, this is mostly useful for people who have not yet registered their custom domain name. But maybe this webinar is for the people that have registered their domain. Maybe this will help them understand whether they've done the right thing or have not, or need to change course. So we have a lot of topics to cover. So I'm going to get started. I want to get started by exploring why your business should establish a professional URL or domain name. So if you are in the early stages of building your business, or if you think of it as a side hustle that brings a little extra cash, getting a domain gives your business credibility and sets your stage for future growth. So through this workshop, I'm going to give you an example of Stasia's Bakery. That's the example that Google always gives us during these webinars. I'll also show you what it looks like on the back end. That's not something that Google provided, but I think it's something that all of you should see when you're purchasing a domain through Google. A lot of people purchase through GoDaddy, but Google Domains recently launched their platform. A lot of people really got tired of other domain providers because they're always trying to lure you into purchasing things that you really don't need. Google Domains is really simple. It's really basic. They're not constantly trying to upsell, which is a good thing. So a domain name will also allow you to create a professional email address. So maybe some of you have already purchased a domain name, but still have a Gmail or AOL or Yahoo, and you don't have a professional email address. So even if your domain name is somewhere else, even if it's at GoDaddy, you can still set up a Google Workspace account with your domain name. So it's okay that you don't have to transfer your domain to Google Domains unless you want to. If you find it easier to just have everything under one roof under Google. But I personally have my domain name, chinchula.com. With GoDaddy, I just didn't have the time, or maybe it wasn't a priority. I shouldn't say I didn't have time. It wasn't a priority to move it over to Google Domains, but I use Google Workspace for my email. So I could show you the back end of my email. I'll do that a little bit later to show you what the back end of everything looks like. So a professional email address will indicate a level of professionalism to your customers and also a feeling of permanence. So when you have a Gmail or Yahoo, people are going to think that you're sort of a temporary business, or maybe you're just, it's a hobby business. So you want to give it, you want to make people trust you when you have a professional email name. So this is the agenda for today. We're covering 6 topics. What is a domain name? How to choose a domain name for your business, registering your domain name with Google Domains, how to build a no-cost website with Google Sites. A lot of people don't know that you can actually get started for free if you don't have a large budget. And then how to set up a professional email with your new domain name. So we'll wrap up by recapping the key points at the end, and we'll also offer you resources that will help you learn more about the topic. So what exactly is a domain name? So a domain name is the name of your website. So google.com, chinchula.com, score.org. But you don't have to have a website to have a domain. So when you establish and register a domain name for your business, you have that carved out from the very beginning so that you can prevent other people from taking it. And you want to, when you purchase domains, I also recommend purchasing similar domains that you think, you know, somebody else, if you don't want somebody else purchasing it because it's too close to your domain name. Usually domains are around $12 a year. And for some people, that's not a lot of money. So they want to buy all the domains that are similar to theirs. Some people, they just want to start out with one because I mean, spending more than $12 a year, you know, that's money they want to invest in other parts of their business. So that's a personal decision. So registering a domain name is a first step to having an online presence. Something that I mentioned earlier, you know, as a consultant, people first come to, they're like, where do I start? Well, this is where you start. You register a domain name. That's the first step. You can do everything else later. You can register your business. You could do your LLC. You could do all of that even after you get your domain name, because it's really hard sometimes to get the name that you want. Since it is a web address, a URL, and the name of the website, the terms may seem interchangeable, but domain name, website and URL have three completely distinct meanings. So the domain name is the name of a website. So the part that you see after www dot or HTTPS in a professional email address is what comes after the @ symbol. This is just really basic information just for you to know. You don't need to really memorize any of this. But if you have any questions at the end about the slide, the differences between it, feel free to ask me or type it in the chat. So it really is never too soon or too late for a small business or a lone entrepreneur to plan their digital presence or registering a domain name. So it's a key step in that process. So what you're doing is you're staking out the claim to your business's name online. That's what you're doing. So you can use it when you're ready to use it. So let's say that you're starting a business 2 years from now, but you have the name, first buy the domain name, just, buy it for the next 5 years. Again, really basic information. Having a domain name is important. You probably already know this, but for the people that don't, it's really important for showing up in search results. So when customers search for your service online, your service or your product online, you have the ability to show up. Obviously, that's only going to happen if you have a website, but the domain is very important. So it's also important for brand building. So you can control how your business shows up on the web, how people, think of you and what they perceive when they see your domain name and your brand. So with a domain, you own how your business shows up on the web. So today's consumers, which, your customers expect a business to have a website. So now that you've decided that you'd like to register a domain name for your business, it's important that you choose a really good one. So I'm going to help you get started on choosing a really good domain name. In some cases, you may feel stumped because you can't find the perfect domain name. I deal with this day in and day out with people that are starting a business. They want a specific domain name, but somebody's already purchased it. But don't let this stop you. If the domain name you want is available, great. You're very lucky, but if it's not, you can choose another. Again, that's something maybe one of your SCORE mentors can help you with if you need a little bit, you need an extra hand. Feel free to email me if you need a little help with that. The goal is to find a good domain name, so not the perfect one. Try to get one with a .com. Also, don't worry that you are settling if the name you had hoped for is not available. An average domain name is better than no domain name. So keep that in mind. These are basics of choosing a domain name. So you want to keep it short and simple. Shorter, uncomplicated names are easier to remember. So definitely use your brand keywords. Your domain name should reflect your brand, service, or industry. A lot of people try to put the type of service they offer as their domain name. I don't recommend that. You definitely want to have your business name as your domain name, or at least include it in it if possible. So third, consider alternative domain endings. .com is the best, but if it's not available, I'll dig a little deeper into each tip. So keeping it short and simple. So a few years ago, somebody actually purchased the domain name Michael Jackson, this is it, moviemerchandise.com. That's extremely long. So you don't want something like that. I can't remember. I had to write it down in my notes. Michael Jackson, this is it, moviemerchandise.com. No one's going to remember. I mean, very few people are going to remember that. So don't get anything like that long. It's descriptive, but it can be really hard to pronounce. It's really hard to type out. So remember that people are typing out your domain name on Google. So you want to make it easy for them to do business with you. So you want to keep it really short so that it's You want to make it simple for people to get in touch with you. So having a really long domain name goes against that principle. Also resist the urge to get overly creative. So if you're trying to make a big, gigantic first impression and attempt to capture an emotion, you might attempt to try to register, Statia's Bakery makes the world's best cake, and you have to try them to how delicious they are.com. That's a bad idea. First of all, it's too long. The maximum character limit is 253 characters, and some domain registries have smaller limits. Statia'sBakery.com is going to be a lot easier to type in. So shorter equals easier to remember and type. Remember that once you get past 2 or 3 words, I recommend that you reevaluate the name that you chose. So 2 to 3 words max. You also want to avoid hyphens. I've seen this a lot, even though you can purchase a domain with hyphens. If people don't type in the hyphen, they won't be able to go to your domain. And a lot of people forget to type in hyphens. So avoid hyphens, avoid numbers, unless if you have for example, let's say that your brand is called clickforkairos.com. You probably want to buy the one with the 4 so that somebody else doesn't take it, or the number, but don't use that as your main domain. So avoid hyphens, numbers, avoid deliberate misspellings, unless your business name is misspelled for creativity purposes. So it might make sense to you, but you run the risk of confusing customers that are trying to find you. Also, on a side note, I wish I can give you this example, but it might be inappropriate for this. On a side note, pay attention to how your domain name actually reads. Actually, I'll just give you the example. They're not in this country anyway. So there's a company called Naresh, Naresh, IT, which stands for information technology. But when you have nareshit.com, there is a very inappropriate word that's in that domain. So you want to avoid that. For example, here's another funny example, speedofart.com. If you type in speed of art, you see the word speedofart.com. So you want to avoid, you want to read it out before you purchase it and, go big. So write it down, okay? So I mentioned keywords before. So they are relevant words to help users find you in search and recognize what you do in one glance. Keywords are the words or phrases that are used in search queries. So you'll want to think about what search terms people use that would lead them to find your business online. So if you're building a brand for Statia's Bakery, for example, a domain name including those words like statiasbakery.com can help. Including your location in the domain name might help you target local customers and users. If you don't plan on expanding, if you just have one location, let's say it's Fresno, you can have something with the word Fresno in it. Let's say there's similar business somewhere else in the world, or somewhere else in the country with a very similar domain name. You could use Fresno or Clovis or LA. There are a lot of businesses here that have LA at the end of them, and that's okay. Ideally, your domain name will mirror your business name. So brands can take time to develop. So yeah, just keep all of this in mind. One last thing on this slide is just be sure not to use any brand names or trademarks that belong to someone else, because you'll get in trouble. It's happened a lot. So that's actually, let me show you. The way you can find that is if you go to Google and type in test trademark. Let me just share that with you. So before you buy your domain name, I'm kind of going off the slides here, but I think this is really important. So just type in test trademark, it's uspto.gov. It'll lead you to the same thing. So you can just type in basic, or you can just click on the first one, the basic word mark search. And you type in the name that you want. Anyway, so just type it in, you'll get a list of things that are alive and dead. So dead names are not yet taken. Or they are taken, but they're dead. They're not alive anymore. So you can take those. So on the right-hand side, you'll see live. So that's what that looks like. So make sure you visit this website. It's public records of everything that's ever been trademarked. Whoops. Sorry, my scroll button went crazy. Okay. So finally, you want to think about the beyond.com at the end of your domain name. So there are a lot of options beyond .com. So if it's not available, for example, if statiasbakery.com was taken, you could look for another similar option. You could swap the .com for an extension like .net or .biz, .site, or if you have a restaurant, or food business, it could be .kitchen. If you want to see what's available, visit a domain name registrar like Google Domains. I'll show you what that looks like. So if you go to domains.google.com, you can search for different domain names, see what's available. I'm just going to type one in. So they'll give you different variations of, just the marketing. Actually, I bought this domain name, but all of these other variations, somebody was trying to, I haven't really registered or trademarked just the marketing.com. I just bought it because I thought it was a cool domain name. But let's say that somebody did trademark it and they want to use that for their business. They could, choose any one of these variations. But yeah, .biz is a good one. .net is okay. If you have a nonprofit, maybe .org. So that's what Google Domains looks like. Whoops. And it tells you how much it costs per year. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, and there's a transfer option on the left over here. So if you are on some other like GoDaddy or Network Solutions, there's so many out there. If you want to transfer just to keep it all under Google, you can do that. You don't have to. Let's go on to the next slide. Just remember that when people, even if you buy .net or .org or some other variation, people might try to default to typing in .com. Just something to keep in mind. So once you have found the domain name you want, it's time to make it officially yours by registering it. So let's talk about what it means to register your domain name. So imagine a long established candy shop called Sally's in a bustling downtown area. One day a new ice cream place opens up shop just 3 doors down and they put up a sign that says Sally's. That's very confusing, right? So while the two Sally's will need to hash out the issue themselves, the web has a nonprofit entity, the Internet Corporation of Assigned Names called ICANN, and that manages domain names, so there's no confusion about where you will end up when you type in the name of the site. So all domain registrars are accredited by ICANN to sell access to domain names. So that's why there's so many different registrars. There's GoDaddy, there's Network Solutions, there's Google Domains. I mean, there are several out there, and they all work with ICANN. So this is not a permanent purchase. So if you bought your domain name once and it expires, it's somebody else can buy it. So make sure that if you plan on being in business for a long time, try to register it for more than 1 year. Oh, so these are a few benefits of Google Domains. I highly recommend it. It's kind of a new product. It didn't exist when I first bought my domain. So, which is why I have not used Google Domains for chinchilla.com, but I have purchased other domains like justthemarketing.com. But some of the benefits is domain forwarding. So if you don't have a website, domain forwarding will allow you to send customers to your online store or social media page. So there's no cost two-factor authentication to keep your domain name secure. That's really important, security, because websites get hacked a lot more. More websites started getting hacked during the pandemic for some reason. Google Domains covers the cost of keeping your personal contact information private on public databases. So there's a website called whois.com, I think, RDAP, which keeps track of domain name users. This is one way to prevent spam. Registering with Google Domains connects you to other Google tools, such as Google Sites, Google Workspace. Google Workspace is how you get the email set up. That looks like Gmail, but it's really a workspace email. You can also connect Google's console and analytics, two of my favorite tools. Very easy to use. Google Analytics sounds scary, but it's awesome. It tells you how many people are coming to your website. It gives you a lot of really useful data on your business. So pricing is clear and predictable. This is my favorite feature of Google Domains. So you won't be surprised by hidden fees. GoDaddy is notorious for doing that. They keep having hidden fees and they try to tell you you need something and sort of trick you into getting something you don't need and spending more money. That's why I really like Google Domains. The first step, like I showed you earlier, is to do a search on the domain that you have chosen. You go to domains.google.com or GoDaddy or whichever one you prefer. And then you remember to purchase it. There are times that I found the domain that I wanted. I thought I purchased it. I didn't go through and, it was just, that. So make sure you follow through and you pay for it. Try to get it for a few years. You'll be brought to a page that tells you whether the domain is available. It includes a set of insights. So there's a circled example here about the name you've chosen that can help you refine it if necessary. Is it too long? Is it memorable? Is it easy to spell and pronounce? This is a new thing that Google brought in. This did not exist a few years ago, the insights. So super helpful. You can choose to make changes based on the insights, or you can stick with the name that you have chosen if it's available, but definitely take the insights into consideration. Remember that you want people to be able to easily find and understand your name. So that's what the insights provides. You'll also see a list of alternative domain name endings on this page. I think it's something that I showed you earlier on the back end of Google Domains. You'll notice that some of them are priced differently. So once you have decided on the name, add it to your shopping cart, clicking on the shopping cart icon. Pretty basic. You will see the price and terms of the domain registration in the cart, along with additional options for purchase. So you can add a Google Workspace, for example. I highly recommend doing this while you're buying your domain. Just click the little button that says Google Workspace. I think, a standard is fine. I think it's like between $6 and $8 per month. That's their basic package. I recommend getting started there. We'll talk more about that in a bit. You want to review your purchase and click buy. Your domain name is now registered. Congratulations, once you've done that. Maybe, like I mentioned earlier, you have already purchased a domain name somewhere else, such as GoDaddy or Network Solutions or Namecheap, but you like the features that Google Domains offers. You can easily transfer the existing domain name to Google Domains. I showed you how to do that earlier. There's a little transfer button. So ideally, the domain the domain name that you choose is available, right? So if that's not the case, what you can do, if you notice that somebody already registered it, you may find that making a simple change will result in a name that is available. I know that there was a company that I helped, I'm trying to remember the name. It'll come back to me. Oh yeah, spinalscience.com was already taken. They're a client of mine in Florida, but they already trademarked, like they did everything. They wanted their domain name to have spinal science in it. So they found thespinalscience.com and that was available. And so that was awesome. They're now being easily found on Google they're getting customers and they've only opened a few months ago. So if, you might want to try other words to add if you really want that name. So you can, you can also, if you've already chosen a domain name now and you're not happy with it and you want to change it to something else, you can just start fresh and come up with a new name altogether. You can forward one domain to the other. I've done that for clients that have been in business and their brand name was available as their domain name and they just got it forwarded. They got their old domain name forwarded to the new domain name so that their customers that had the previous domain name were still taken to the website. Please let me know if you have any questions. I hope I'm not going too fast. We do have 54 slides and we are, I think, halfway through. So, and we have very little time. So please, I want to know if you have any questions so far. Tom or Christina, I don't know if you're getting any questions that you can help me.
Hey, Jenny. Yeah, we have a few questions here. So somebody wanted to know, what was that trademark website?
Oh, just type in, I'm glad you asked. So if you just type in TESS on Google, test trademark, it'll take you directly there. Because the URL is really long. See why I tell you, this is why it's really bad to have a really long domain, a really long URL, right? It's tmsearch.uspto.gov. Like that's kind of long. So just go to Google, type in TESS trademark, and it's the first thing. But yeah, it's TM search. Let me just, let me just open it.
Type it in the chat, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But look how long this URL is. It's ridiculous. I could just do an answer, right? Okay.
Yes. Well.
Oh, it's gone now.
Yeah, go ahead and put it in the chat for everyone, Jenny. That way everybody can be able to type it there.
But everyone, look how long this URL is. It's crazy. You don't want something like that for your business. Or people are going to have to type in your brand name on Google and try to find you, and you may or may not show up.
I see it. We can put it in the email too.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like off topic. I mean, it's not really part of the webinar, but I think it's something that everybody needs to know about. Most people don't know this webinar.
It's very relevant to if you try to get an email, I mean a domain though, isn't it? There are a couple others. I'm sorry I was late. I couldn't find the button.
Oh no, I think this is I know we were going to take questions towards the end, but I think it's really important to answer some of them in the middle of the webinar. Yeah. I want to get a feel of what people are struggling with.
Well, there are three that really are asking the same thing, and then there's a follow-up to that. So I'll put that out. Several people are wanting to transfer their domain names from one provider to another. Could you kind of go through the steps? Because they do ask for some follow-up, like if you go to Google and you have an existing domain at GoDaddy or at Network Solutions, one of the other providers.
Yes. So I would go to domain. So I'm sure most people here have a Gmail, I'm hoping. If not, get a Gmail. It'll just make it easier to sign into stuff. And go to domains.google.com, and on the left-hand side right here, you'll see transfer. You just click on that, and then you type in the name that you want to transfer. Let's say that I'm just going to put mine in because I really do want to transfer it at some point. You put your domain name in, And then it'll just walk you through steps. It's like step 1, step 2, step 3. It's pretty simple. If you get stuck, I recommend going to Google and saying, hey, like this is, troubleshoot that and put in your problem. Or you can ask one of the SCORE mentors.
I'm sorry, would you also, after that, would you probably get a email from your existing provider asking you to verify that it was you changing it?
I'm sorry, Tom, I lost you. Your voice.
Would would that trigger an email from your existing provider asking you to verify that you were changing it?
Yeah, so if you're trying to get something transferred from GoDaddy, there is a process where you have to go to GoDaddy. There's a process.
But you'll get instructions.
Yeah, I would just follow the instructions. I did this a long time ago. I kind of got stuck back then, but I think Google's made it a lot easier to transfer. So
yeah. Well, yeah, I've done it many times when I've transferred from a $30 payment to a $15.
Yeah.
So if you've got your domain set up, this is the next question. Let's say you've got bob.com on web something, and then you want to take it to Google or GoDaddy, and you've already got your email set up at bob@bob.com. Can you just set up, say at Google, your new email address, and
yes,
it's seamless?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's not too difficult. So let's say that you bought an email, like a domain email at GoDaddy, but you want to use Google Workspace. It's not difficult. I actually did that. So I have my domain at GoDaddy, but let me show you my inbox. There's some confidential stuff, so I might have to show you my spam folder instead. Or maybe my promotions. I'll show you my promotions. Hope there's nothing inappropriate there. So let me make sure. Okay, great. I don't sign up for anything appropriate, but sometimes spam shows up. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So this is my work email. It looks like Gmail, but it's chinchula@chinchula.com.
Yeah.
This is what my inbox looks like. Pretty messy. I have a lot of unread mail. Don't judge me. But yeah, I love Gmail personally. That's my opinion. And I love using Google Workspace because it makes me feel like I'm using Gmail. It even says, let me show you this again. It even says Gmail on the left. So that's actually confuses a lot of people. They're like, oh, like, why would I have, like, I tell them that you can use Gmail with your Google, like, your business domain, and it doesn't translate to them. Like, how can you use Gmail? And so this is how it's done. It looks like Gmail. It feels like Gmail. It is Gmail, the back end, but you get a lot more features when you're paying $6 a month. You get Google Drive. You get more space for emails. I mean, it's just, you get a professional name, and what's better than that, right? Any other questions? I hope I am answering. I hope I'm doing a good job of answering these questions.
You're doing a really good job. One of them is really specific. Marianella is asking if she can actually, she wants to convert her email to a different domain name. I think that's going to be a different process, Marianella, and I'll schedule something with me. I'll walk you through that.
Okay.
But no, this is just for keeping the same name, what Chenny's talking about, correct, Chenny? Not for having a different email address.
I'm a little confused.
Do I use my Gmail account to start my Google email process? That's yes.
Oh, yes.
For example, I have upliftballoonevents@gmail.com, but I want it to be info@upliftballoonevents.com.
I recommend doing that because, yeah, definitely start with a free account, a free Gmail account. And then I do recommend going that route.
Okay. 2 more questions. I think you can answer them quickly. One is, can you explain the difference between HTTP and HTTPS?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a whole separate. Okay, so HTTPS, if it has HTTPS, that's good because it's a secure domain. Sometimes you'll go to a website and it'll say not secure. That's a bad sign. So if it's So definitely get an SSL certificate. I don't think that's something that you have to worry too much about when you get a Google domain, but if somebody's doing your website for you, like definitely buy an SSL certificate if somebody goes to your website and it says not secure. I wish I can show you one, but all the clients that I had that had a not secure website, they now have a secure website. So let me see if I can find, no, there's a secure, huh. All right, sorry. I don't have an example for you of a non-H, yeah. So HTTPS is more secure.
Yeah, and some browsers will not let you go to a non-secure one.
Yeah, it'll show up as, it'll put a big warning in your face, and that's not good for your business.
There are going to be some other questions, Jenny. Would you like to go on so we get it, make sure we get it all in, and then we'll promise to get back to these questions?
Okay. If there's a question that stands out to you that you think is really like urgent and important, please stop me.
I will.
So I think I already went through this process. So start by brainstorming, choose a domain name that you would like for your business, and then come up with 3 variations of that name. It's like choosing baby names. That's what I told someone. And like, they found this process so intimidating. And I said, you have babies, right? Like you have children. What was it like choosing their names? So this is kind of that process, like choosing baby names. And then once you have those 3 variations of the name that you want, type it into domains.google.com. I showed you that earlier. There's just a little search bar that lets you check to see availability. You can look at the alternatives to .coms that are listed to see if any of them might work for your business. And then you want to repeat this until you find the domain that you fall in love with, like baby names. So I mentioned earlier that getting a domain name was the first step in establishing your online presence. So for the next step, you're going to need that for publishing a website. So I'll go through those steps with you right now. You may find the idea of building a website overwhelming. This is most people. I probably meet one person a day at least, if not more, that find the process of buying a website or building a website overwhelming. They think it's too expensive. So Google has created, they understood that a lot of business owners have this problem. And so they found just a really easy way for you to get started. It might not be the best website for you in the long run, but it's great to at least have something rather than nothing. And you don't need to understand programming or design to create this. So Google Sites includes templates that you can populate with content. You can move, you can drag, you can drop, you can edit to suit you at no cost. If your computer skills are terrible, I'm sure your kids can do this. I think a 12-year-old can easily do this. It's really easy. Multiple people can work on the site together in real time. So if you want, a family member or a nephew or someone that's better than, with computers than you are to help you, you guys can actually work on this website together in real time, just like Google Doc, like a Google document where you're making changes and you can actually, looks like a ghost is writing it because somebody else is also typing. It's really cool. So if you've ever, so Google Docs is a great example of how that works. So you could also view Google Sites on a computer, phone, or tablet, but you need to use a proper computer or a PC to create and edit your site. So you won't be able to make this website on your mobile phone. So if you don't have a laptop or a computer, it's going to be hard. So contrary to popular opinion, you do not need to register a domain name with Google Domains to use Google Sites. They'll give you a domain name, if you don't have a domain name yet. But if you do have if you're a step ahead and you have the domain name that you want, you can automatically connect the two. So in your Google Domains account, you want to click website on the left navigation. I think I showed you a screen earlier, and this, I don't know if you can see this. You want to click in the card labeled build a new website. Look for the link that says build website. So then you'll see a screen that asks, what type of website do you want to build? From here, you have the option to select other companies that have website builder products that partnered with Google domains. So to connect Google sites, click the option labeled simple site powered by Google Sites. All you do is you follow the prompts and your domain name will be associated with the site you build. So they try to keep it really easy. It looks complicated. It's really not. You start with step 1 and they take you to step 2. They take you. It's pretty easy. It's not as difficult or intimidating as it looks. So I'm just going to repeat what I said earlier. You don't need a domain name to build a no-cost site. So yes, you heard me correctly. You can build a free website to start. So sites.google.com is a URL that you would type to get this process started. So at the top of the page, you'll see a template gallery, as you can see here. So you can see site design options like portfolio, restaurant, class. I noticed that a lot of people use this to create sort of a creative resume. I mean, there's so many things you can do with this. There's something for everyone. So if you've ever put together a presentation using Google Slides, which is like PowerPoint, which I'm using right now, you probably already have a good idea of how to navigate it. So they tried to give it the look and feel of a PowerPoint or Google Sites rather. So if you have no experience at all, you'll probably want to spend some time exploring and playing around to create a few web pages strictly following the template. So again, if you have some experience with designing a PowerPoint presentation or Google Sites presentation, it should be pretty easy for you to navigate. So we've chosen the project template for this example. So right at the center, you'll see the text and a 1-line description of the project. So simply click on that area and type in your own title and descriptions. You'll do the same throughout the template. So click on text boxes to type in your own copy. Click on images that you want to change, and you'll see a prompt to change image. You'll have the opportunity to add videos if you want. You can pull from Google Files, and there's a lot you can do. It's a very versatile product. All you need to do is add your contents, all of your content in the spots outlined in the template. So as you get more comfortable, you'll be able to customize your site by moving the text, moving the images. You can add, delete, reorganize pages, changing fonts and colors. Really important to your brand, fonts and colors. And you can, using the tools listed on the right-hand side of the page, you can sort of explore all the things that you can do. So even if you don't get to that point, the template options have, professional looking sites you can be proud of creating. So kind of like art, you just play around with it. So once you have created a site that you're happy with, it's time to share it. It's a good practice to preview your site. Always preview your site before you publish it. If you make any mistakes, you can go back and edit. So it's not the end of the world, but you don't want people seeing any mistakes. So look for the preview icon at the top of the page and click on it so that you can see the finished site as other people will see it. So you can view it like your customer would view it. When you're done reviewing, click the exit button at the bottom of the page. Really basic. I mean, everything's there. If you like what you see, hit the publish button at the top of the page. You'll be prompted to fill in your web address. Again, I mentioned this earlier. If you don't have a domain name, you can choose a word or phrase. So your site will look like site.google.com/your site name. I don't know if there's an example here, but that's okay. But most people don't want their website address being that long. Like going to http://site.com.google.com/your site name is, it's fine to start off that way until you get a domain name, but I don't recommend it in the long run. So definitely use Google Domains to register a domain and have something professional. Click the manage button with the section labeled custom domain, and you can follow the prompts. I'm not going to get too detailed into every little step because, again, you just follow the prompts. It's really easy. So when you start exploring Google Sites to create your own website, it's a good idea to keep a few key ideas in mind. A great website has 6 important characteristics. It's goal-oriented. You want to think about how your website will help you grow your business. It's organized and it's easy to search. The template that you choose will be a helpful first step. But as you fill in images and content, think about your visitors. What's the journey they're going through? So if you have a restaurant, what's the reason people are coming to you? Is it to see your hours? Is it to call you? Is it to purchase something online? Understand your customer's journey and what they go through when they're on your site. Make sure that the content is very useful. Fight the temptation to go for the hard sell and concentrate on giving visitors valuable and useful information, or they might just get tired and leave your website and go to your competitors. So just make it really easy for them to find what they're looking for. Make sure it's functional. Does your website do useful things? For example, if your website is a bakery, maybe it includes a tool that people can use to submit custom cake orders and schedule deliveries. Is it intuitive? Is it just as easy to navigate your site on a mobile phone as it is a desktop? Today's day and age, it's really important to have your website optimized for mobile friendliness, because there are a lot of people without computers. Their computer is they use their phone for everything from email to browsing websites. They don't have a computer. That is their computer. So make sure it's super mobile friendly. Last but not least, make sure that it's findable by search engines. We do have other topics at Scores for other webinars of how to get found on, how to get found online. So if you've started a business, you want people to find you. So that's search engine optimization. So that's a whole separate presentation. So I'm not going to get into that right now. So if you're ready to create a website, start by going to google.com and signing into your Google account. So if you have a Gmail account open, you are automatically signed into your Google account. So open Google Sites by going to sites.google.com after you create your free Gmail account. This will bring you to the site's homepage. At the top of the page titled Start a New Site, you'll see a number of template options. So you want to click on it by selecting it and just go through the steps. So once you're satisfied with your website, you can publish it. So let's close the session with one final quick topic: email for your business. We've already mentioned that professional business email inspires confidence among customers. But to emphasize, if you were ordering a wedding cake, would you be more likely to choose Stacia Gal 615 at example.com or yahoo.com, or would you go to sales at statiasbakery.com? Sales at statiasbakery.com is a lot more professional than Stacia Gal 615 at hotmail.com, right? The professional email seems like they're going to be in business longer. The first one seems sort of a hobby type. That's my opinion. If you register a domain name like statiabakery.com or statiabakery.net with Google Domains, the registration includes the option to create 100 email aliases. So these are not 100 different emails. Aliases are very different from just emails. So aliases aren't separate email accounts. They exist just to forward email to another address. I do this. I have info@chinchula.com and it forwards to my actual email, which is chinchula@chinchula.com, for example. But I don't have a separate inbox for info at. The other thing that you can do, let's say that you registered the domain statiasbakery.net, but your primary email address is statiagal615 at hotmail.com, okay? Or another Gmail address. So and let's say that you've been in business for a while and that you've been using that basic or free email for a while, you can have an alias. So you could use like Stacia at statiasbakery.net, sales at statiasbakery.net, contact at statiasbakery.net. These are all free, and up to 97 more. You probably don't need that many. When someone sends an email to one of these aliases, it'll automatically forward to your free account. But you still need to purchase a domain. So if you don't want to purchase Google Workspace, you can at least, once you purchase the domain, you can create free aliases to forward to your Gmail. It just looks a lot more professional when you have an alias or a professional email. So that's the point of all of this. Please slow me down if you don't understand what this is about. Some of you may understand or may not understand the whole alias situation. Again, you don't need a Google Workspace account to create an alias. So setting up email forwarding with Google Domains is pretty straightforward. Start by signing into Google Domains, clicking on My Domains, then click on Manage, next click Email. So this is to set up email forwarding. You'll see a dialog box titled Email Forwarding. In that box, you want to click on Add Email Alias. Add the email alias you want to create and the primary email address you want to connect to it. Then click Add. And with that, you have an email alias address. If whatever I'm saying sounds complicated, just definitely go through the prompts and the steps. Google tries to keep it really easy. So if you create the alias sales at statiasbakery.net, for example, all emails sent to that address will automatically be forwarded to your Gmail account, your Hotmail account, your Yahoo account, whatever it is that you want to use. Gmail's better. Google Domains includes email forwarding, but forwarding is not the same as having an email account. So remember that. If you're ready to create a professional business email with your domain name, you have the option to sign up for Google Workspace directly from your Google Domains account. So I briefly mentioned Google Workspace when we went over the steps to register a domain name with Google Domains, and I showed you a copy of my very messy inbox of thousands of unread mail. In addition to getting a new business email account, complete with inbox and all the features and storage that you find in an email program, Google Workspace will include a professional email address, plus collaboration tools like Calendar, Docs, Slides, and more. So when you're sending an email, it actually goes from your professional email instead of your Gmail. So that's the difference. Definitely better to have Google Workspace, but in a pinch, definitely use those free aliases. So I know that was a lot of information in one sitting. So I'm just going to quickly go over the highlights. I don't know how much time we have left, but I want to save some time for questions. So I'm going to go over the highlights really quickly, and then maybe we can take some questions. What do you think, Tom? Is that a good idea? Okay.
Definitely.
So today we talked about what a domain is and why it's important for any type of business or any type of size of business to register one. So it doesn't matter whether you're one person hobby or whether you're a larger business that's been in business for 30 years, you need to register a domain. A domain is basically the name of your website. It is the part that you see after the www dot or the HTTPS. In a professional email address, the part that comes after the @ symbol is also your domain name. So like, for example, if you're using Gmail, gmail.com is the domain name that you're using for your email. If it's chinchula.com, if it's chinchula@chinchula.com, chinchula.com is the domain. So it comes after the email @ symbol. Whether you set up a website immediately or plan to set up one in the future, when you register a domain name, you have carved out the right to use that name online, and you prevent other people from using it. So definitely Buy that domain name before anybody else takes it. So when choosing a domain name, you want to keep it simple. Consider using keywords that relate to your business, and also explore domains ending other than .com. .com is the best, but it's okay. You know, I think your brand name is more important than the .com. So priorities. Once you have a name, you need to register it with the official registrar, such as Google Domains, GoDaddy, Namecheap. There's a bunch out there. Google Domains is my favorite. So you want to pay for it, you want to register it. That's when you've officially registered it, right? You don't have to do any other steps to register your domain name. The domain name can be used for your website so that people can find your business. We discussed one option for building a site, which is Google Sites. Yes, it is free. You heard that correctly. It doesn't require any design or coding experience. It's really easy to use. Finally, a professional email address incorporates your domain name. It adds a level of professionalism to your business correspondence. So let's look at a few bonus tools that you can use once you have a domain name. So Search Console, Google Analytics. If you want me to go into a little more detail, if we have some time, I'm happy to explain a little bit more about Google Search Console, but I feel like these are really separate webinars. So attend our other webinars if you want to know more. YouTube has a wealth of information of how to do stuff. So definitely explore YouTube. I think Google has one called Grow with Google. So they have all these lessons and stuff. So if I have not covered something, there's definitely going to be something there. I love their videos. They're very professionally done. Yeah, go directly to Google if you have any questions. Okay, I think that concludes most of what I wanted to cover today.
Thank you, Jenny. That was very insightful, and your expertise was great. Grow with Google does have answers to many of the questions that you may want to explore. We want to do a poll before we wrap up questions. Most of the questions have been answered as we've gone along, but was today's webinar what you expected? Number 2, did you find today's facilitator knowledgeable on this subject? Number 3, would you attend more Google webinars to grow your business? And would you recommend SCORE to a friend? If you'd answer those, that would be great.
Here are the results, Tom.
Okay, so 93% of you found it what was expected. All of you found our speaker knowledgeable. All of you would attend more, and all would recommend. Miriam, I think that probably Chenny answered your question, but we have a separate webinar on Google Analytics, and it takes the full time, and so that we offer that periodically. Also, if you need Google Analytics before that, a mentor can help you connect with where you can get that information. That is true of so much of the information that has come up today, your mentor. And so we want you to know that you can request a free mentor from SCORE. We will help you with your business plan. We will help you with your marketing plan. We will help you with just anything that relates to your business with that kind of information that you need. I think that if you go to the next slide, it'll have a link to how to connect with us. But if you'll go to centralvalley.score.org, you'll get our local SCORE website. And on that website, you will be able to sign up for our newsletter, which will inform you of all of our upcoming webinars. You will be able to access loads of articles, tools, templates, previous webinars that we've offered, and you'll be able to request a mentor. Now, if you use the link that we have right here to request a mentor, it could be, they will locate someone who is near you. If you want someone in our Central Valley chapter, then go straight to the centralvalley.score.org. So we just have a few more questions that are lingering, Chenny. You've done a great job of answering it as we went along. The question's been asked a lot for fees, and just to clarify, the way I answered it in the chat, you can fix me on that. Professional, why don't we go to full screen? We can turn off the share so we can see faces. Professional website, professional email has a fee, correct?
I'm sorry, can you please?
Professional email.
Right.
There's a small fee for that.
So alias emails are free once you've purchased the domain.
Yeah.
Google, so I'm trying to think of a good analogy, but I can't. So if you want like the entire, like all the features of an inbox, the Google Drive, the storage, being able to do more with just one email, you want to get Google Workspace. That's, I think, around $6 to $8 per month. It's definitely less than.
I think that's right.
But if you purchase a domain and you don't want a professional email address because you've been using, let's say you've been using your Gmail account for a really long time. Let's say that you've been in business 30 years and you've been using gmail.com for your email correspondence, and all your customers, all your vendors, everybody knows your Gmail. Like, it's really hard to let go. What are you going to do? So what you do is you buy the domain name, you create an alias. Those are free. You can create almost 100 aliases, like info@statiasbakery.com. And you can put that on your website and it'll still come to your Gmail. You just have to set up forwarding. It'll still, so you don't have to get rid of your Gmail account that you've been using for 10 years. You can set up that alias so that you're still getting those emails. Yeah.
And when you reply, will it show as coming from your alias or from your?
No, unfortunately. So that's the downside. I'm glad you asked that question. That's a very good question. Tom asked, can you reply as if it was a professional email? No, you cannot. You will only be able to display it on your business cards. So if you have a business card, you can put info@statiasbakery.com on your website. You can, just to make it look professional, you can put it up there. You can put it up there, and then if they actually email you, you can reply from your Gmail. It's better than the alternative of putting your Gmail address up there.
Yeah, I think it's a $6 to $8 well spent
$6 a month
monthly fee. Yeah.
Yeah, you get a lot more bang for buck.
So there were several questions about the fee for transfer. I'll tell you how I answered and you correct me. I said there's no fee for transfer unless you're moving from a lower price to a higher price, which I'm not sure why you would do.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the price. I mean, yeah, there's no fee to transfer, and I can like GoDaddy, Google Domains, Namecheap, like they all use the same registrar. I can, so it shouldn't change.
Well,
but
maybe the next year's fee when you renew, they can do it.
The Google Domains just keeps it really low. I mean, it's
Google Domains, you're not going to find a better price probably than Google, unless it's a sale price.
Yeah, like Namecheap tries to lure you into using them, and then they, charge you more later. But,
like you 1 penny for the first year I've seen recently. Yeah. Now I think that answer is the same for having had a domain name since 2010, registered it, extended it in 2020 for 10 years. Same answer, no cost. Right.
Yeah.
Let's see what this next one is. Does transferring my domain name to Google switch my access to my current business email from Outlook to Google? Huh.
You can still use Outlook. I mean,
you can use Outlook for everything. You can use it for Yahoo Mail and Google Mail, Gmail.
Yes.
Yeah, I collect my email on Outlook and Thunderbird, and
Now,
it's,
the only reason you would do that is if you want to use like Google Drive, you want to use all the other professional, options that Google Workspace offers. That's the only time that you would still get a Google Workspace account while you're using Outlook to check your email.
yeah. I think we've covered all the questions, Jenny. This has been a mountain of information. You've had a lot of thought. Oh, I would like to integrate everything to Google. Well, that makes sense.
Yes,
That was
do
just,
it. They'll be happy. Easy.
okay, then. Someone asked about how to contact you. That information is in the presentation. And
I'll just type it.
again, today, before you go get your lunch, everybody go sign up for a free mentor. There's no downside to that. You'll have an initial conversation within the next few days. And thank you, Jenny, for that. Support it. And you'll have that consultation, and if it's going to work, you'll know it, and then you'll set the next appointment. You don't have to get it all in one session. It's an ongoing process. Any other questions? Thank you, Marianella, for that comment. God bless you. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to this webinar today, and for all the input and all the wonderful questions. Jenny, thank you so much. Our staff is going to stick around for a little while and do a little work, but Jenny's got a great coupon in the chat. You're going to get all of that in your email. Let's stay, and the rest of you are free.